The 3 principal paths are kind of like, they're kind of like Cliff Notes version, okay? They're the Monarch Notes version. They're like the In a New York Minute. I don't have time for all those steps. Could you just give me 3? I don't know, I get, those steps are just too many steps, but I just have 3. Okay, here's the 3. Number 1, renunciation. Number 1, okay? If you want to really boil it down to 3, number 1, you've got to let go of the coal. You've got to let go of the coal that's burning you. You've got to, and renunciation, you know, people hear that word, and they get all like the willies, you know, especially us, you know, American consumers. We go like, uh-oh. Especially when a monk tells them you got to renounce, you know, uh-oh, got to give up some good stuff now. I mean, probably have to give up all that kind of stuff that was making me happy before. You know, and it's not like that. That's not what renunciation means. Renunciation means that you give up on the idea that you give up on suffering. I give up on being unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy anymore. That's real renunciation. That's why we take ordination. They say that you're leaving a home life, but that's really what it means. You're leaving the life of unhappiness. You're saying, I want to be a happy person. I'm going to dedicate my life to try to be a happy person. That's exactly what it means. You know, I think most people, especially lay people, you know, got this idea that monastics, you know, or monks or nuns or something like that, they you know, give up the happy life where there's boats and, you know, families and stuff like that, and then they go to the monastery and like suffer a lot, and like really, you know, eat crappy food and, you know, do like just boring things all the time and pray and maybe hit their head against their cell, you know, wall. I'm a monk, I'm religious. See? No, it's a kind of a preconception that we have about religion. It's indicative of a kind of a stereotype that we have about religion. That religion actually is not fun. Religion is the kind of thing that you do in between the fun things that you do. And then you have fun boating time, and then you have the fun, you know, working time where it's really exciting at the job. And then on Sunday you got to go to the church. You know, and you dress up, and you go to the synagogue and church, and you wait until it's over, and then you go to the beach and have fun. See? No, it's completely wrong-headed. Completely wrong-headed idea about religion. The whole point of religion should be fun. Your practice should be fun. And it should get funner as you go along. It should be getting funner and funner all the time. Until when? The funnest. And that's the goal of religion. They call it nirvana, they call it heaven, they call it salvation, but it means the funnest. It means you're blissed out, you're blissed. What does that bliss mean? Funnest. Okay? So don't confuse, okay? Don't confuse what the goal of religion is. And on the way to the goal, how are you ever going to have fun? How are you ever going to get to the funnest unless you're having fun, you see? How are you ever going to get happy? How are you ever going to get to the happiest state unless you're practicing what? See, that's the other thing. I think we have this idea that you're going to sit around, this is my religious trajectory. I'm going to be unhappy, 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 happy. Right? And suffer, 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 die, go to heaven. And have you noticed that things in life don't work that way? Like, things happen slowly. Change happens gradually. Change doesn't happen suddenly, actually. No change happens suddenly. Every change happens gradually. Change is happening on a microsecond to microsecond basis. See, everything in this room is changing. Right? Is this changing thing or non-changing thing? Quick.
It's changing.
It's changing. Does it look like it's changing? No, it's staying the same. Right? But if you put like a super microscope on, the scientists will tell you it's a changing thing, right? And Buddhists have been saying this for centuries, for millennia. That things are changing on a moment-to-moment basis. It's not like this thing stays the same for all these years and then becomes junk simultaneously. You know, all of a sudden it becomes junk. It's changing. It's wearing out. We're wearing out. As we speak, we're wearing out. Your body is changing on a moment-to-moment basis. You know this, right? Every 7 years, you get a whole new cellular structure, something like that. And that's not like 6 years and 351 days go by, and then all of a sudden you get a new cellular structure. Here's you know, some delivery man comes in. Here's your new cellular structure. Can I have your old cellular structure? It's happening on a moment-to-moment basis. Change is happening on a moment-to-moment basis. And your happiness will happen that way too. It changes little by little by little by little. And you will slouch towards perfect happiness. You're slouching towards bliss. Little by little, you're slouching little by little towards ecstasy. And so, you know, I have a kind of a happiness chart, you know, and it's got Sanskrit in it, so it sounds official. And so, you know, the way to get to bliss in Sanskrit is Ananda. Maybe you've heard this, or Mahananda. Great bliss. Ananda. It's the name of one of the Buddha's close disciples, actually. Cool name. You know, hi, what's your name? We have somebody in our group in Arizona is named Bliss. So it's awesome. Hi, Bliss. How you feeling? Bliss. I'm Bliss. So anyway, Ananda. Ananda is bliss. On the way to Ananda, you have to start. Before you're going to get to, you're not going to get like unhappy, Ananda. You got to start with entry-level happiness. Entry-level, beginning kindergarten happiness. And you know what that is? Contentment. Santosha in Sanskrit. Santosha. In the yoga people know santosha. It's part of what you're mandated to do as a yogi or a yogini. If you're going to be a real yogi or yogini, you've got to like learn to be content. As they put you in these poses that you can't stand. That's okay, I'm fine. I'm fine, I feel fine. Just kidding, Christina. So contentment. So how are you ever going to get Ananda, bliss, if you haven't even gotten contentment yet? You see, and most of us haven't even gotten anywhere close to contentment yet. We're not even in the ballpark yet. We're still out in the tailgate party. We're outside the stadium of happiness, having our suffering tailgate party. The entry level into the stadium of happiness is contentment. Is to just say, I have enough. I have enough of everything already. I don't need anything more. I don't need any more boats. I don't need another job. I don't need another bump in my career. I don't need another wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't need anything more. I'm content. And everyone in this room should have contentment by now. We've got everything. What more did you think you should have before you could be content? You see, and all of us this is the trick bag of contentment. If only I had this, then I'd be content. And you'll never be content with that mindset. The only way to be content is to say, I have enough now. And until you can say that, you will never be content, you see? And the now is now, yo. Now is now. Say it now. So say, Om. I have enough. Ahum. That's your mantra, okay? That's a contentment mantra. It's got the Om in it, so it's like official, essentially stuff. Om means like that, here comes the mantra, it's the beginning of a mantra. Ahum means that's the end of the mantra. And I have enough means exactly what it says. And you say that mantra over and over and over again until you believe it. And when you believe it, you've just given up the tailgate party of samsara. The tailgate party outside the stadium of happiness is over for you, and you've got entry-level happiness. And then you can start from there. Then you can move on from there. But until then, no way. You see? What do you think? How do you think was going to happen? You can't be discontent your whole life and then somehow expect to be happy. Some fairy going to come along and like bounce you on the head or bump you on the head with a magic wand and make you happy. That's not how it works. So you got to start practicing happiness. Practicing means like you work out. You like become an Olympic athlete of happiness.